Hi, this is Saki. This video is meant to be a guide on how to solo Guardian of the Rift efficiently. Before we jump into the requirements and how to actually do it, we're going to go through the pros and cons of soloing versus masses and who should be doing this. So some of the benefits for soloing is that you'll be gaining roughly 80% more points per hour, getting roughly 10% more XP per hour. Your runs will be ending 10 to 20% faster, and most importantly, you are not depending on other people whether you succeed or fail. The downside is that it's just slightly more click intensive. You have to use a little bit more brain power in order to adjust to your situation, as the altar spawns are a little random. As for who should be doing this, if you are aiming to green log your collection log, or if you're trying to get the pet, this method is for you, as it will focus on getting as many points as you possibly can per hour, and you'll be getting way more points as compared to masses. If you're here for EXP, it is better than masses, but there are better options. So if you are just looking for pure XP, just do ZMI or lava runes or some kind of rune runner service or some sort. If you are trying to chill, this is still pretty chill, so it's kind of up to you whether you want to do this versus masses. There's not much of a difference between like chill level and not. It is a little bit more brain power though. As for the hard requirements, I would recommend bare minimum level 50 rune crafting in order to have access to the large rune pouch. You can do it at level 25, but your fail rate will be exponentially higher and it will take you a lot longer to ensure that you don't fail. So I do not recommend doing it at level 50. 50 is bare minimum. As for mandatory gear, you only need a chisel and your best pickaxe. That's the only gear you need, preferably rune or dragon if possible, but you can definitely use lower gear. If you have access to the full graceful, do use the full graceful, as we'll be running out a lot. If we don't, bring 2 or 3 doses of stamina potions. It is not a big deal. If you have access to the Guard of the Eye set, use that in lieu of the graceful, as that will increase our runes crafted. It will increase your EXP per rune crafted. Um, if you have access to the Lunar Skill Book after finishing the Lunar Diplomacy quest, uh, we have access to the NPC contacts, so make sure you bring in a rune pouch with the corresponding runes, Astral, Cosmic, and Air. This will allow us to talk to the Dark Mage. This step doesn't affect our run in any way, but it does affect the time in between runs, as we're not running back and forth repairing our pouches. Before we jump into how to actually do it, we need to understand how the game works. So let's go over to the wiki here, and I'm going to explain how all this works. So when you are soloing, you are not focusing on what rune you are crafting, but rather the tier of rune you are crafting. So if we look at this chart right here, blood, death, and fire runes are all overcharge, which is the highest tier, which I would be referring to as red. Law, nature, and earth are strong, which are green, and so on. As for your shield, there are 4 tiers of shield that you can have, similar to how you have 4 tiers of guardians. So with your different tiers of cells, preferably we're going to be using green and red only, but we sometimes will be using blue. Every time you create a guardian, you create a guardian that will have corresponding power. I recommend never creating a weak or medium guardian, only strong and overcharge. And when you are doing shields, you will only upgrade 1 tier per cell. So if you have a tier 1 shield, which is the weak cell that we placed at the very beginning, and you use an overcharge on it, it will only go to tier 2, which is medium. So using a medium and overcharge on that stage will give you the exact same result, but you will the only difference is you get more points and more EXP, and that's it. So that's why at the very beginning, based on this flowchart here, we'll be using the lower tier cells on shield and the higher tier cells on our guardians. As for how points work, I'm going to be using overcharge as an example. If we use an overcharge cell in order to create a guardian, we'll be getting 45 points in the corresponding type of catalytic or elemental we get. If we use it to place a new shield, we get 30 points in each, so 60 points total. If we are upgrading a shield, we get 22 in each, which is 44 total, and then we're recharging 15 each, or 30 total. So ideally, if we are safe, and we want to push points, we want to place new cells or new shields with our cells. If we are trying to get everything set up, ignore that, focus on setting up first. So that's all the preliminary stuff out of the way. I'm gonna go through the flowcharts here. I'm not gonna go too much detail here because I'll be explaining this a little further as we are doing it. Just follow from the top to bottom and then split accordingly to based on what the altar spawns are. So before going in, make sure you right click the beer and peek through it. Make sure no one's in there because this method will not work if there's anyone else in there. So if you're doing this with a friend or in a small group, you have to use a different method. So start off with grabbing your weak cell and 10 uncharged cell. I followed down over here. We're just gonna wait at the northern area where the northernmost shield is at. So when the game starts, we can place our shield and then run over and start mining. Go ahead and feel free to skip through the video a little bit here because I will not be talking much. Place our shield. We run over. If you have the agility levels, go down to the lower level to mine. Do that. If not, just mine up here. It is not a big deal. We are going to be trying to mine 2 inventories worth of fragments if possible, but if that's not possible, that's not a big deal. We can mine a little bit later on. I have access up to the giant pouch, so I'll be mining up until 47 seconds on the clock. If you only have access to the large pouch, I would mine up until 42 seconds. If you have the colossal pouch, mine until 52, 53. That is to ensure that we have enough time to create one guardian and craft full inventory's worth of essences before the first altar spawns. And based on the first altar spawns, we're going to be going through this flowchart here. If we get red, we follow this line. Green, we follow this line. Blue, we follow this line. White, we follow this line. And then we go accordingly to what the next 2 spawns are. The only 2 important spawns are the first 2. The rest, you just kind of play by ear and just do whatever you need to do to reach this checklist or finish this checklist before we push past 60%. The reason why we want to stay below 60% is because it will only spawn a small amount of monsters through the portal. Once we pass 60%, we will get overwhelmed. And it's the matter of time we will get overwhelmed. It's not if, it is when. So grab your weak cell, create your guardian, start crafting your essences. So it looks like I did not get enough fragments to make 2 inventories worth, so I would have to do a little bit of mining later. So pouch it, keep crafting, and hopefully we don't get a double white spawn here. So we got red and blue, so death, water. Death being red, water being blue. So we're going to set the highest one possible. If you don't have access to death because your rune crafting level is too low, just go to the best one you can. If you ever get double white, just take that time to go mine. It is not a big deal. The second set here is green and white. Green being nature, white being air. So we create a guardian. So follow this, create guardian. Since this is green, red, or blue, we go upgrade shield as our next step. So next portal spawned. I'm gonna run up here, place our shield. That will upgrade to tier 2. This is our tier 2 shield now. And as I mentioned before, when we upgrade, it will always upgrade and then heal 50% of the next tier. Then over here, we just keep mining till full inventory's worth. So here we're in the clear. We have our 1 overcharged guardian, 1 overcharged or strong guardian, and then our tier 2 shield is active. So here we should be safe. There is no chance for us to fail at this point. So coming out of here, the highest tier we have access to is red. So we go to red. At this point, we're just going to be doing whatever we can to reach this checklist, to check off everything on this checklist. Since I have a red cell here, and both my guardians still up, I'll just put it into shield. It's a little bit of a waste, but it was guaranteed us to have tier 3 shield. Turn in our stones. Let's see if we can make it to the Earth Altar. We cannot. So red, blue, always go to red. If you don't access that, it goes to the next one. That's fine. And this is kind of where soloing differs from masses. Masses, you just kind of craft essences and run back and forth between the portal and crafting essences. In solo, you're more focusing on running and getting cells. This will actually yield more points and more EXP per hour as compared to crafting. It is a little counterproductive, but that's how that works. So we're just going to be doing cells until the next portal spawns. So shields that tier 4 right now, and that push is about 65%. So we checked off that part. But we only have one overcharged guardian right now, up right now. So we cannot be pushing 60% here. So next portal spawn, I'm going to jump into the portal. Mine. So mine a full inventory's worth. If you have the Colossus pouch, you can skip the next step. I do not, so I'll be doing this one extra step in order to make sure that I never fail. And this is getting the guardian power between 55 to 59%. Just gonna throw into the shield, run to the altar. So I'm current at 49% right now. So in order to push it to around a little bit under 60, I want to pull out only six essence here, keep the rest in the rune pouch. So this ensures that we don't push over 60%. Let's then turn it in. That puts me at 59. I do a guardian. So now that I have two overcharged guardian, my shield is tier 4. Two overcharge, tier 4, 55 to 59%. I have a really good spot here. So here I just kind of push for points. So I just keep recharging cells and just adding cells into the new shields if possible. If you have a colossal pouch, you can skip this step entirely and just turn in all your pouches or your entire pouch and push it past 60%. Having the colossal pouch does save you about 2 minutes per run, which yields a lot higher EXP and higher points. So the reason why I'm not putting into the shield is because creating new shield will give you more points. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just getting more shields up. The shield itself doesn't do anything, it just gives us more points. So I'm at uncharged cells, make sure you grab new cells. So next portal is gonna be coming up soon. We're just gonna put it into this shield to ensure that it just never breaks. Because we'll be pushing, triple pushing here in the next cycle. Portal spawns. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna mine up and fill up whatever we're missing. Oh, I missed one, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. We just go in, make a new shield. Goes to the highest tier altar. Craft our runes. We get our cells. So here, make sure you do not turn in your stone to the guardian because that will push over 60. We want to craft before we want to do that. So this is where we're at right here. And because we have both our guardians up, our shield is at 90%. We're at 59 guardian power. And then we have a full inventory's worth. We can push here. Looks like I'm a little short. I have plenty of time, so I'm gonna mine them just a little bit just so they can get a full inventory's worth. Usually we want to mine during double white, but in this game we didn't get any double whites, so we didn't get any time to mine. We used this little time to mine. It is not a big deal. As long as we're under 60% threshold, there's no chance for us to lose. Alright, I'm gonna wait for the next cycle here. So our next cycle is be red. That's perfect for us. We're gonna place this down. New shield for more points. Run into the fire altar. I'm just gonna drop this fragment because we will no longer need those. Craft. And then by the time we go out, the portal spawn will be spawning about 20 seconds. New shield. Turn this guy in. And then the next time the portal spawns, we will have enough essences to push it to 100% to win. You use this time to get a couple of extra points if you want to. So we'll be finishing up this game. I forgot to run the timer because I'm an idiot. But I'm pretty sure you just like do the math on the video and see how long this run took. So you mine your full inventory. So here I'll be doing the optional bonus thing here and wait for a red altar. So in this case, it's fire. It's not ideal, but we can definitely do that. Just give it extra like 20-30 points or so. But if time is more important for you, just go to whatever. It's not a big deal here. And here I'm just gonna wait for a red portal. I'm gonna wait one cycle for a red portal to gain a little bit more EXP. You can skip this step and just go turn it in and finish the game if you want to. It is not giving me a red portal, so that's whatever. We just finish it. And I'll show you a little trick. Even though the game is finished, we can still enter the altar and craft our cells. Alright, we craft our cell, we have our cell. Just look in the top left corner, wait for this to disappear before we go back into the room. It disappears, we go back into the room, that means the game is ended. You get our EXP drop, but we can still craft guardians. So if we have red altars here, we'd be getting 250 XP per cell we create here. But since we don't have a red, I'm just doing this as an example. We just do this twice to get extra bonus XP at the very end, even though the game already ended. I'm gonna craft it. And then that's it. That is the run. You just exit, do the next game, repair, make sure you repair your pouches and whatnot, and that's all you need. Thank you.